All right, so I've got my third edition of the Whatever podcast, and I've got another guest with me here today. As I think a nickname, an appropriate nickname for him to be called by is the urban poet. This is Yvens A. Daralis. So, a little backstory into how I met him was it's quite fitting since the guy that was on my podcast, the first two episodes, Derek Shapiro, that's how I met those two guys because they were the host. I don't think Derek would want us to mention the name of the station because you know how that went out.
Sure.
Yeah, so they were the host of his show D Sharp in the morning, and that's how I met him. And a big thing that he does is poetry, but there's a rap twist to it, I would say, because a lot of his poetry feels like he's spitting bars, but he's not, but it feels like he's spitting bars, and I will have a link to his book encased in the description. How long ago was that book? Like 2013?
Yeah, 2013. Yeah. So it's kind of like an anthology of all my the poems I've done over the years. I put some new poems as well as like old content on there that didn't see mainstream. That some people didn't see on the mainstream area.
Yeah, and how does that whole process work? Because I'm curious on that. Like how the whole process of getting the book published. How did that work?
Oh, so what I did was like I went on to like a self publishing website what was it called? It was called like Creative Space, and then so they'll put it on Amazon for you, and then once people buy it, they'll print like a copy of that book.
Okay, and with the cover, like who came up with that for the cover?
Well, because when I was sick, trying to brainstorm of ideas, so I was like, I wanted to get like an idea like kind of originally it was gonna be like a brain entrapped in like a case of like in like glass case, but then I was talking to an MIT student, and they're like, "Oh, why don't you try to put a light bulb in there?" So it kind of like sparked an idea, and then so creatively, I was like, "Oh yeah, that works." And then so I started like putting it together, and then like kind of had like the student help me out with like the to make it like a design, and then we just colored it. I colored it like we kind of got help coloring it in like the way it was on on the paint box. So I just wanted to make it like simple but fun.
Yeah, and what what is the compilation of poems? What like year range? Because I'm correct me if I'm wrong, but like the poems you have in the book are from a compilation of poems you did like throughout the years.
Yeah, there's some that go all the way as far as back as like 2002, all the way up to 2013 at that point.
And when would you say that you started first writing poetry?
I wrote I wrote poetry when I was like a little kid. When I think it was like in fifth grade, the teacher asked us to do a poem in for a Halloween thing. Just write a story or a poem. So then I was just playing around, and I was like, listen. And there was a line I said, I don't remember the whole thing. I used to remember it word for word. And I was like, listen to the owls howl, play nice, don't be foul. Um, Catching something about ghosts and souls get out on Halloween night.
Yeah, and I want to bring it to with the how you and Derek how did that first start? Because you first met each other at Walmart. Now, ironically, both of you, every guy that I've known that worked at Walmart that's associated with Derek's a former employee there. So how did that
Yeah.
start from you being his co-worker at Walmart to you being his co-host on his radio show.
Oh, cause like the way Derek is, like yeah, if you know Derek, Derek's like he's like a playful kid. Like so at one point, like at first I was like when I first met him, he was cool. I was like, oh yeah, he's very friendly. And then he kept on being like, hey, it's your birthday, it's your birthday.
Yeah,
And
and
then I'm like, this dude's annoying. I'm like, this is very annoying. Why does he keep on saying it's my birthday? It's not even my birthday. And then once I got used to him, and then he found out like, I did poetry, and he's like, oh, do you want to come on my show? He's like, you want to come on my show and like do some of your poetry? And then I was like, yeah, sure. And then from there, then he and then weekly he was like, oh yeah, like can you do this poem? Can you do that poem? Or can you do this? And then then he was like, oh, you want to co-host the show with me? And then so I had some free time during that time, so I was like, yeah, sure. And then that's how I became his co-host on the show.
yeah, so how how was it like dealing with him and like just his personality in the workplace? Because I've said this several times to you before that he's like a real life troll.
Yeah, at first it was taking to get used to, and then like I said, he's like a very friendly guy. So like I thought about it, I'm like, man, alright, he seemed cool. But then there's certain times like he'll just like like the stuff that he would get away with, like he'd be like, welcome for your Sunday coffee needs. And then like we always thought he was just a clown, like he was like really funny from time to time, because not because of the jokes, because of the stuff that he did. And then once in a while, he'd have some funny jokes. So that's how we were like, oh, okay, this guy seems cool.
Yeah, that's the thing about him. It's not really like his jokes themselves. It's the stuff he does. It's the way he acts in certain times. That's the thing that makes him funny.
For real. And then he had something like along the lines like he's like, oh yeah, and then you see him dancing, and then we were like, oh man. One day I think I said to him like, man, no rhythm McGee. I was like, I don't know how to dance, but like, man, you definitely don't know how to dance.
Yeah, exactly. And it was funny because my mom, we were it was me, my dad, my mom, we went over to my school because they were doing senior pictures, and so
Yeah,
we paid them a visit right after, and we were talking about this like a little bit after it happened, where he was getting mad or whatever
right.
because of some Karen, his first floor neighbor, some Karen. I don't really get that because here's what we were thinking. He's not going anywhere because I said I was gonna pop up and give him a visit. So we just blocked his car for like, I don't know, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And then this first floor lady's getting triggered. Over what though? That's the thing that didn't make sense.
Yeah, because when I be going there, like when I just go there, and then they will be like, oh, the lady be like, why you parking there? Other people need to park.
Oh yeah, now I remember why I even brought that up. Because she saw Derek getting mad, and the thing about it is I don't know, I didn't know what to think because his voice sounded kind of feminine, to be honest with you, when he was yelling. Sounded like he was trying to imitate the lady. That's what I was first thinking when he was yelling back at her. It was kind of like some Mickey Mouse thing. No, you better not yell at me! Yeah, and I bring that up because my mom thought he was crazy already. She's like, this dude's crazy. It just seemed to reaffirm that.
Yeah, I be thinking that he is sometimes too.
Yeah. So I'm not gonna I was saying to you earlier in the week about talking religion, but I'm not gonna talk about that. I don't really feel in the mood to talk about that. Besides,
Right.
yeah, I bet you probably got family members. If I were to say, if they were to listen to this, I were to say some of the stuff I believe, I don't know if that would be, I don't know if they would be pleased with that.
I don't know, man, cause sometimes religion's a very touchy subject.
Yeah, exactly. But I want to transition into this, and since I actually, I mean, it was last year I graduated, but I had the walk through and actually the cool thing about that was they they let you pick whoever you wanted, so you were able to bring at least, or the most you could bring was three guests. So of course my mom and dad came with me, and it's cool that I was able to have my dad say my name. He was like, and Dylan Snyder with a with a grad with a bachelor's in science and communications. And I was thinking of Derek when I went into this restaurant, because this is the thing about him that cracks me up. So we went into this restaurant. I'm not gonna say the name of it, but it's not that far from his house actually. And I said to my dad at one point, it's kind of like a PG Hooters. And I was thinking of Derek, because if he was with us, he would have been like, "Oh, that woman in the tight leggings, though."
Oh,
He would. That's the thing that cracks me up about Derek. He'll be seeing some woman walking by, and the dude will be giving out such details, trying to paint an image like he's a poet on this stuff.
yeah, that's for real. Like, I've been like, I've been like, I don't know what's wrong with you, boy.
I, I'm just like, this dude. Every time, every time he says something like that, I'm just like, really, man. But
Yeah,
oh, go ahead, go ahead.
no, because sometimes I've been like, man, he'd be funny with it at times.
Yeah, and the reason I'm bringing up all this is school related. That's the reason I bring it up. So correct me on what you did for college. You took some classes, right?
Yeah, I did like some computer coding, and I did like medical coding, and then I did like general health studies at last too.
Did you finish that, or is that still ongoing?
I still have some like the medical tips, some medical coding. I finished the computer networking. I finished, but like the general health studies. Like I still had like one or two classes that I had to do, but then they told me like, oh, even more time that like they waited the last week of school to be like, oh yeah, you owe this.
Yeah, okay, and yeah, so we're gonna go more into high school, because we have completely different experiences when it comes to college, and both of us we finished uh our 4 years of high school. So the reason I want to talk about this is the opening topic on this is high school reunions. So the question is, first off, has there been a high school reunion for your class or not?
Yeah, they have like, but I didn't go to it. I didn't want people to be like, oh, so what you been up to? Like after you got out of school, like what's been going on? So I missed my 10-year high school reunion because I'm like, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna pay money to go see friends. I can on Facebook if I want to.
Seriously, that's so true though. I'm I'm halfway to that point. I'm not sure how they're gonna do it, but That's crazy. It's gonna be 5 years since I graduated, June 8th. And the craziest thing, I found out this recently. It's just so ironic. Kanye West, his birthday is on the same day that my graduation was.
Well, that's what's up.
And then another thing that makes it even more crazier, my favorite album from Kanye West, Graduation.
Oh, graduation? I thought it was college dropout.
Yeah, Graduation. That was like my first opener to Kanye. That was the first album I listened to him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so for me, I don't think I completely agree with you with not going to the high school reunion whenever that is for me, because this is how I feel about it. What There's a reason why those people aren't in your life anymore. So why do I need a reunion for that?
Exactly.
And how much was the high school reunion? Can you remember how much that was for you?
I think it probably was like $40, or I think so. I'm not sure, cause like they asked me if I wanted to go, and then I'm like, I'm thinking at that time, I'm like, hell no. Like at the time I'm single. Some of the kids got married during the high school reunion. I'm like, oh, so what I'm gonna do? Show up with like no, show up by myself, and they'll be like, oh, so what you been doing? Oh, we're gonna single life? Yeah.
Exactly. That I feel that high school reunions are becoming more obsolete in my opinion due to the fact that Facebook or whatever social media app you use to follow these people you went to high school with is kind of like that in a way.
Yeah, because there's always a popularity contest. Like I'm like, what?
Yeah, and
Yeah,
oh, go
yeah.
ahead.
No, because I was like, it's a popularity contest. Like either way, like on Facebook, not on Facebook. I'm like, why would I want to do that?
Yeah, for me, I was never really the popular guy. I mean, I feel like I was a novelty act, like kind of how the guy that made the Gangnam Style,
Yeah,
someone like that. Because I swear, if I were to go to a high school reunion, this is like not really like if this wasn't really reputation with women when it comes to me. If this reputation I have for high school is mostly guys because they were the ones playing basketball. If I were to go to a high school reunion, they'd be like, "Oh, it's him with the shot, Dylan with the shot," because I had a very unique shot to say the least. Because the way I shoot was like over my head, and I didn't really jump when I shot the ball, and it was a consistent shot, and that's what I feel my legacy was in high school, and really just school in general, because people didn't see me talk that much. And there's several reasons why I really wasn't all like this talkative guy in high school, and really just in general when I'm around people that I'm not like completely comfortable with.
I'm like kind of like an introvert when it came to high school. I was kind of like I ran with some popular kids. I knew some popular kids were popular. So like so like I was semi popular to some kids.
Yeah, I feel that kind of for me to an extent, because there were guys I would say they were popular, and yeah, they knew me because I was the I was the guy with the unique shot that somehow went in.
Yeah.
And when you first got into high school, I remember this. And I was even saying this when I was just 14-year-old me. I was saying this to my dad. I was like, they were saying to me, Dad, that these are gonna be the best 4 years of your life. I'm like, that is some BS. I was saying that at 14. So were they doing that whole like propaganda thing with you when you first got into high school about the best 4 years of your life?
Yeah, they said that, and then like, so I remember walking in all nervous, and then I was short. I was like 4'11", walking into high school for the first time. And then at the time, like we had like uh, like different cliques, and I was trying to hang out with the kids that I knew from the project area that I grew up in. So I kind of clung on to them, and then my cousins who were older classmates. Like my two cousins, one was like a junior going to be a senior. No. I think one was a junior and one was a sophomore or a junior, and then the other one was like a senior.
Yeah, so how would you say that your high school experience was? How would you rate that?
It was all right. Like my best part, I guess it was when I was in ninth grade, I dated a 10th grader, and then I was dating an eighth grader.
So what would you like rate it? Maybe like out of 10.
For me, I think it was a 6, because like I like the drama class. When I was doing drama class, and then like we were like, and then I did the film my senior year. So I think it was like a 6 for me in high school.
That, that's the thing. The things you're saying, I'm just thinking to myself, I could I could relate, like if not completely, I could somewhat relate to what you're saying because if I were to rate it, I would probably have to say about the same because like high school wasn't like this awful time, but I felt it could have been better for sure. I think it would have been better if I didn't if I didn't deal with as much anxiety during that time.
Yeah, yeah, high school for sure was like a PTSD kind of moment.
Yeah.
And it was just like, yeah, of course you're gonna have the kids that make fun of you because of the way that they're not take care of themselves, so they wanna bring you down.
Yeah, fortunately for me, I didn't really deal with much of that, but at the same time, it was because I didn't really talk much. Like teachers, I feel the reputation. This is a thing that's so interesting. I feel that depending on who the person is, they'll give you ask this person about what you think about Yvens. They'll say this, and then another person will say that. As we act different in different kind of contexts, and we have all kinds of masks. I would say the only guy really I think.
Sorry for cutting you off, but I've had kids like who actually when I'm in one class asking me if I could help them with like their French homework, or when I was in science class, like when I had a packet one time, like it backfired on me. I thought I gave them the packet that had the wrong answers in it, and then I turned in the one with the wrong answer and got an F.
Wow, yeah, that did happen with me before, but and a lot of times I was like, oh, these are the wrong, these are probably not the right answers. But the thing is with the teachers, a lot of times for me, they didn't really care if it was the wrong answers. They
Yeah,
cared more about it if you got the wrong answers on the test though.
that's true.
So like what kind of stuff you do like sports wise? Did you do any sports?
I tried out for the football team my senior year, but then they were trying to put me on the freshman team. Uh, then like a
What?
word that got around school, they were like, "Oh, there's a senior trying out for the freshman team,"
What?
because I had no experience in playing football.
What? I've heard some wacky things when it comes to high school, but I don't think I've ever heard of that. If that is a scenario that happens, I feel like it's some guy that's trying to make it to the NBA and like some grown man trying to pose as a high schooler he could so he could kill it in high school, and then scouts are watching this guy. I feel like that's the only time that would happen, but apparently not when it comes to you. They try to have a senior going on the freshman team. That'd be something if they tried that with me my senior year. I didn't even play basketball my senior year because you can't join JV or freshman really. And then for varsity, I didn't feel it was worth it because if I made that team, I would have been on the bench. And that was practically how it was the entire time I was playing basketball in high school. I was like the Taco Fall of high school, but except minus all the hype though.
I went out for the basketball team like my freshman year as well. But what happened was like then I ended up going just I just went in just quickly ran and I just decided like when I realized I might not make the team because I was decent but I wasn't good enough probably because there was a lot of kids who were better than me and suicides were like hard. I hated suicide.
Oh
So then I
yeah.
had an opportunity to make money freshman year. So I hung up the basketball sneakers and just went to go straight to work. So when I was in high school, I was holding my job and doing my thing that way. So those are the only two times that I've ever went out for any sports in school.
Do you remember how like the tryouts work? Because it was real interesting. In like middle school, it was kind of like elimination game in a way. If a
For
coach
real.
like in middle school, if the coach was like, "Oh, he's struggling," yeah, you could go home. That's how it was in middle school. And then in eighth grade, it was kind of just like, let's just see what the guys' performance are in these 2 days, which were typically how long tryouts were, and then and then we'll come up with a list. Uh, then there was a list like in one of the hallways saying the name of players that made the team. So how was that for you when it came to tryouts?
Tryouts, it was like when everybody was looking like and like trying to size everyone up, trying to see who was better. Like I kind of didn't like it because everybody was who was looking and trying to make you feel like bad, talking trash talk. Like oh you ain't gonna make it, you ain't gonna do this. You can't see me on the court, son.
That's real interesting. I don't think I don't really think there was any real trash talk. There might have been some like cocky guy that really was a bum in reality, but that's really it for me
Yeah,
personally.
that's why I was like it's whatever.
Yeah, no pun intended when you say that.
Yeah, exactly. No pun intended.
Since you brought that up, tell the audience about what I found this funny when you told me this when I first met you and Derek was asking about the name of my show. What was your thoughts when I was saying whatever?
I was like, what is this kid talking about? Why is he calling whatever? I'm like, what type of name is whatever?
Yeah, and for anybody that's like a first time watcher of my channel or anything like that, I I'm not even sure what is the actual original source of why I say that, but it just became a mantra for me
Yeah.
because I feel that it describes my content. It's just whatever I want to post that's at that time.
Cause I remember what you did one time. You were telling me like, oh, I talk on different topics and things like that. From basketball, from sports to music to I forget what other thing you said. But like you said, I speak on a variety of topics, and so that's why I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and what's the next thing you're thinking about you want to talk about?
Oh, like that, like anything. I was thinking like what was I gonna say? Cause I was thinking about like what made you wanted to like to write when people don't know that you write sometimes yourself.
Yeah, for me it's just like I've since about like fourth grade I've always enjoyed rap, so that's where it started. And I said on my video where I was explaining why I make diss tracks, like I was doing that a little bit as a hobby, and then I came up with the idea to do this YouTube thing and make diss tracks. And I said this on the diss track video where I was explaining why I do diss certain people. I was saying that
Yeah,
I really don't want to speak on my personal life or really about my issues or anything like that. So I felt that diss tracks are a good way to go about it. And I'm not like these other rappers that oh I feel that came off as like very snobbish, me saying that, oh, I'm not like these other rappers. Like I feel some SoundCloud rapper would say something like that when in reality they're just like every other rapper and trash. But I'm not like a rapper that'll talk about because I don't do that stuff where oh man I get high all the time. I've never gotten high. Oh, I go to the club. I've never went to the club. Or oh, I drink a lot. Last time I drank an alcoholic beverage was probably like early last year. So I don't do a lot of the stuff that like these rappers typically talk about if they're not talking about serious topics, introspective topics.
yeah. Cause I remember at one point like when I was in college, have, have you done any like a writing battle? Cause I did one in college, but I told the kid that he won, but I felt like I really won. And then he's like, yeah, I won, but we were talking about two different things.
Writing battle. I don't think I've ever heard of anything like that. I've heard of
Yeah,
rap battles.
yeah, we did like 10 bars. We did 10 bars, like or like I think we had 10 lines that we had to write, and then so I came up with let me see I forgot the name of it. I think poetic battle. Oh, I think it was poetic battle. I called it, and it went like this. I'm so sick of writing rhymes, becoming more poetic with the change of time. Never hurt no one on the battlefield. Of course, some rhymes people throw on me out like manure from a horse. Burn you with my pen like farmers do with the cattle. Never had any competition for battle. My words slap you down like nuns with a paddle. Feel like I'm too advanced with technical words for my age. Have more poetry written than you do on one page. I have these people amazed. Send you with words that leave you dazed. I'm gonna continue to be the champ, leave you in a lyrical slump. I'm sadistic in my rhymes and consider me a killer. I'll shred your lines like Michael Jackson's jacket in the movie Thriller.
Bars.
And that's what I did. Like, and I was coming up with the creative process, and then after that, I'm like, oh shoot, I should do this a little bit more often. And that's I think that's the first writing battle I did in college during break time.
So then you bringing that up makes me wanna bring back it to your book for a second. With you
Yeah,
getting money, so do you get money off of that when people buy your book? Is there like a
yeah,
certain percentage?
yeah. You get a percentage, but like it has to be come up to $100 before they send you out like a before they send you out a check.
Okay.
With that one, I'm trying to find another one where like when I decide to write again, to find another place that I could get it done.
So are you planning on trying to come out with another book in
Yeah, I
coming
was trying.
months?
Yeah, I was trying to write another one, and then like it's been years. I've been sitting on it like called Double Edge, and then like I was going to do it, and then like then I had someone that was like, oh yeah, I want to write a book, and then like so I helped her, and then we co-wrote a book, and then like and she's like, oh, you can work on that after, and then ever since then it threw my momentum, and the idea I had an idea of the book, and everything changed. I had like had something like a thin line between love and hate, kind of like the Martin Lawrence movie. And then I
Yeah.
was doing poetry of like love and hate poems, like dealing with relationships. And I was gonna kind of do like something introspective where I'd be speaking from the lady's point of view, and then I'd be speaking from the male's point of view.
That seems like a real interesting concept.
Yeah, and I was gonna kind of go like that for like the whole chapter would have been like that, and then I kind of had like an idea from like where Ti did on Ti versus Tip, like that album when he was like I do it, like when they were going when he was going against himself. I was thinking about doing that, like where like poetic persona, Black Poet versus Yvens or E, because before I went by Black Poet, I had like E the Shakespeare of Love. That's what I used in my high school performance.
That's a thing that a lot of artists have. They have like a alter ego of sorts, like Eminem, Slim Shady, or you could say Eminem, Slim Shady, and then Marshall Mathers, because that's what fans will say in the comments. Like, this song is Marshall Mathers, this song is Eminem, and this song is Slim Shady. And then Beyonce had a thing many years ago. Sasha Fierce.
Yep.
Trying to think who else was there.
Uh, I know Kanye might have had one, but
I
I'm not
feel
sure.
I feel like Kanye did have one. I don't know if he straight up said it himself, but that college dropout bear that he had like in his first three albums, maybe that was a thing. Maybe that was his alter ego.
Oh, and T Pain, like, um, call me Teddy Pinner ass down.
Yeah. So the next thing I want to discuss is I was listening to this radio station, and it's serious radio, so you have to pay a subscription. My dad pays like 26 a month for it, and you get all of these like stations, no
Yeah,
advertisements on them. And I was listening to a station, it was old school rap,
yeah,
and the host, I don't know if you recognize this name. It was Roxanne Shante, I believe that's the name.
yeah.
Yeah,
She
so
was.
yeah, Roxanne Shante was the host of this show, and there was a segment she was doing. So I want to do this segment. It was inspired of what she was doing. So there's been there's been several major rap artists throughout the years that passed away, and the thing with dead artists is that's when I feel they're like, oh, this guy was a legend, and then they just praise him like Pop Smoke. Like
Yeah,
like I never heard anyone saying anything about him like that before he died. I didn't even listen to any of his songs before he died, to be honest with you. But
yeah,
as soon as he died, people were saying, oh man, Pop Smoke was a legend in the making. And then you'll see, back when I actually had a Tinder account, I'll see these girls have, how there's a Tinder theme song that you could pick for your profile. And it'll be like Pop Smoke on it. That that's what some of these people have. I bet you it's the same way with DMX right now.
Yeah.
So the intention of this is to give whoever the artist is their flowers before they pass. So there's not a situation like I just mentioned. That's the purpose on why she does that. So she was doing this, and it was for the group Grandmaster Flash, and that's what I want to do for this part of the podcast. So we will both list out an artist, whoever it may be. I have minds in mind on who I just want to give a spotlight on. So I'll let you go first on that. Who's an artist that you would who you just want to give some props to right now? That an artist that's still here.
Oh, okay. Because I was gonna be like Michael Jackson, DMX, but LL Cool J definitely one of my favorites. Like he was the reason why um you hear Lil Wayne doing "Teach Me How to Love." He's the reason why a lot of these rappers started doing love music. They told him that his career would be over if he did a love ballad. And then he did it. He did "I Need Love," and he blew up after that too. He was already big, but he went to another stratosphere when he did "I Need Love." And then from him, I kind of get that like the ladies love Cool J type of vibes. Like one time I was so impressed by LL Cool J, and then like I wanted to have "E Loves the Ladies" as another moniker that I wanted to do. But LL Cool J, by far, his lyrics, his vocabulary, the way that his flow, the way he puts it down in his lyrics, and like the way that he's able to like he's able to keep on being consistent in his rhymes.
Yeah, and the thing that's crazy when you were saying about how he was one of the first, like the pioneers to make rap songs that had love in it, as opposed to just being like I'm a hard gangster or whatever
Yeah.
it is. It made me think of Drake because people have roasted him throughout the years because of that, and not just that. Him being a singer, then people are saying, "Man, he's not a rapper, bro. He's a pop artist. He's a singer. He's not a rapper. He's an R&B singer that just raps sometimes, man."
And then I gotta also say like I'm gonna wait till you do yours, but like I was gonna because you mentioned Drake, because you had mentioned Drake. Nelly, they were saying like, oh, how Drake was doing the singing and rapping before Drake there was Nelly who was doing the singing and rapping thing.
If you want to even go earlier than that, Bone Thugs and Harmony.
Yup, true.
So that's the thing. People act as if something such as Drake is a new thing when it's really not. It's just the only thing that's new is the way he's doing it.
Yeah, and at the level he's doing it.
Yeah, exactly. It's not him doing the act, it's how he's doing it that's making it new.
That's what I feel like. I feel like that. But who's the person that you feel
Lupe Fiasco. So I was listening to a couple of his songs during the weekend. There was a couple songs I was listening to off of his album called The Great American Rap Album Part 2. It was a album released in 2012, and like the first, I would say, half of the album, not that the other half was bad, but I just felt like the first half of the album is like, is so phenomenal. And there was the song, it's called, let me double check what the name of it is. It's something like Bitch Bad or something like that. Yeah, I think, yeah, that's what it's called. I just want to get that correct. Yeah, Bitch Bad. So, I was think I was realizing about I was aware about the message, and it's like about how like rappers be saying I got bad bitches or whatever. It's like commentary on that whole thing. So he talks about this. In the first verse, he's talking about how a little boy is hearing his mom reciting lyrics about saying how she's a bad bitch.
Yeah.
And so the little boy's thinking of bitch from a negative standpoint because his mom is who's rapping it.
Exactly.
And then the second verse, he's talking about from a little girl's perspective. They're little girls watching videos on the internet, seeing how like rap videos how they have the models, and this is so crazy. It is still so relevant 9 years later. It's not just like rap video vixens, it's Instagram models too now.
For real, for real.
So Lupe is like a prophet in that way. So in the second verse, he's talking about how the little girls seeing the rap videos, they want to be like the women in the rap videos, and when they hear the rappers say bitch, it's from a positive perspective. And then the third verse, he brings those two together, and then he creates like this confusion. So he's not only making commentary about how the word bitch gets used in hip hop, he's also telling a story at the same time. How those two met, and then he's thinking bitch from a negative standpoint. She's thinking, oh, I'm a bad bitch from, oh, I'm a fine female or whatever. And then he said it. This was the final line. He said, but bitch is bad if you say. He's talking about the girl's perspective. But bitch is bad if you say it. But bitch is still bad if you say it the wrong way. But she thinks she's a bitch. What a double entendre. So that song right there is unbelievable. Like the whole concept of it, and he doesn't waste a single bar on the song.
I feel that.
And Lupe is just such an underrated, underappreciated lyricist. It's crazy how how his career story is. So he gets signed to a major label, and I don't think it's like he just came out the blue moon just rapping on some conscious rap. Like that's what has been doing since the beginning. My safe assumption is I don't know what his like music was before he got signed to, what was it, Atlantic? Yeah, Atlantic. So as soon as they obviously think that he can spit, but as soon as they sign him, they're talking about how they want him to dumb down his lyrics, which makes no sense to me.
Yeah, true.
You signed him hearing him being a conscious rapper, and then you want him to be like all these mainstream rappers. And he was talking about in one of his songs. It was on the album, I believe it was the album that Superstar came off of. The Cool. That big song he had like in 2007.
Yeah, I remember Kick Push, but I don't remember a lot of his music.
Yeah, so in this song, it's called Dumb It Down. He was basically just trolling his label, saying, oh, they want me to dumb it down? Well, psych, I'm not doing that.
Exactly. And then I also like Fabulous too, like back in the day, like and now Fabulous still could go toe for toe with a lot of artists.
You ever listen to his 2009 album Loso's Way?
I think I heard some of it.
Yeah, like this. Some of the like his wordplay, man, can be
I
something
remember,
else at times.
I remember there was this song that Tupac did. No, he's like, um, I think wonder why they call you bitch. He's like I'm saying about all the homies do is laugh because in the locker room, all the homies do is laugh because another motherfucker done played your ass. Is it that you sleazy, even easy, sleeping around for what you need? It's your thing. You can check it how you want it. Give it up free or making money in the corner, but don't be mad.
Yeah, yeah, I've heard that song. Yeah,
And he was doing conscious stuff too, like that. And then like that's subconscious rap. And then I think I like keep your head up from like way back.
you,
I don't know if it was on strictly for my niggas. Like Tupac was a conscious rapper when he did like I hear Brenda's got a baby, but Brenda barely got a brain. But a damn shame the girl can hardly spell her name. That ain't my problem. That's up to Brenda's family. And then that's him and his other friend going back and forth. And he's like, let me tell you how it affects our whole community. Because Brenda barely had something, and then he said her daddy was a junkie throwing jabs into his arms and something like that.
yeah.
You should check that out. That's definitely a good one.
You know, you brought up Tupac, and I was thinking about this. There, there's another Lupe song on the same album I'm talking about, the Great American Rap Album Part Two. So this is the second track on the album. It's called I'm not sure if I'm saying it right. It's called like Ital or something like that. But the other part of the name of the song is called Roses. So if you want to check that out later, you probably just type Lupe Fiasco Roses and that'll be the song. And then I was thinking of Tupac Keep Your Head Up, where there was the part where Tupac said, we'll have a race of babies that hate the ladies that make the babies.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was on the Lupe where he was talking on the hook. He was saying, give some roses for the ladies, a little appreciation for the gentlemen. And it makes me think of this, how our generation is now. I feel that people have unreasonable hate for each gender, really. Like, you got the crazy feminists that say, kill all men aren't shit, or whatever they say.
Yeah.
And then you got like these guys that are salty because girls rejected them. And they're like, oh, all these girls are the same. They're bitches. Or whatever they'll say. So I feel that Tupac really nailed it on the head when he said that have a race of babies that hate the ladies that make the babies.
Since a man can't make one, he has no right to tell a woman when and where to create one.
And with Lupe, with the song Roses, him saying, give some roses to the ladies, a little appreciation for a gentleman. I feel people in this generation really, really need to hear that kind of message. Because, like, dating, I feel that's like the big, like, where the big animosity is for
exactly.
men and women is dating. Because women, let's just say it how it is. It's way easier for women to be dating than it is for a man. I mean, you could see it on the troll video I did months ago when I was doing Tinder with that troll account. It's so lopsided. So Lupe is right. What about just give appreciation to each gender? But this is this is the thing about people. They'll be saying, "Oh man, what about real rap though?" Well, you know who's to blame for why people such as Little Pump get famous? Look in the mirror.
Yeah.
It's it's not like you can buy like subscribers, followers, and all that, but you can't buy views. Let me see. I'm gonna check that out actually right now. How many Lil Pump Gucci Gang has to prove you a point about you. You people don't really want to listen to conscious rap. You want to just listen to the stuff such as Lil Pump. You're talking about, oh, the music's so problematic nowadays though, but you're you're still feeding the that monster, metaphorically speaking. I'm looking that up right now. Gucci Gang, how many views that has. It has 1 billion views. One billion views for Gucci Gang. And I'm gonna look up the song that I'm talking about with Lupe Fiasco. Bitch Bad.
That's
That's got
insane.
5 million views. And that was released in 2012. Gucci Gang has a billion views and it was just released 2017.
Yeah, I'm like, after that, Little Pump hasn't been able to catch a hit, in my opinion.
Yeah, you already know how I feel about Lil Pump. You see my diss tracks, you already know how I feel about Lil Pump.
Sure.
I said on my diss track video explaining why I do it. I get it. You need to do things. That's why people do YouTubes. I don't get when people say, "Oh, I don't do it for the clout." Of course you do it for the clout because why are you on YouTube to begin with if you don't want attention?
Exactly.
Makes no sense. So I get that, but the way Little Pump went about it, that's really how you thought was a good idea? Do you really think that Trump supporters, kids of Trump supporters are going to say, oh, that Little Pump guy, he seems like a good feller?
Little Pump got a bag from that.
Yeah. But really, it's quite fitting Donald Trump calls Little Pump Little Pimp because he's getting pimped out by the industry. That's how it is a lot of times. The industry is the pimp and the artists are the prostitutes.
Like, it's funny that even Donald Trump, like you said, didn't really even call him by the right name. They called him Little Pimp.
Uh, yeah, you mentioned that saying that brings up the point of why it was so dumb for Lil Pump to even be trying to do this in the first place. That's really how you thought was gonna get your fan base back? Get you back to relevancy?
I think it was dumb.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would agree with you on that. Just in general, Lil Pump is dumb. That's what people would definitely agree with you on.
He ain't nothing, man, in my honest opinion.
Yeah, but it goes back to what I was saying a few minutes ago. The people, you're the reason why these people get famous. You are because you had to watch this clip. Like I'm gonna bring it to this now. The girl that was on Dr. Phil, Bad Baby.
Yeah.
First off, now, since we're on the topic of Dr. Phil, if you really have issues, like mental issues, personal issues, whatever it is Dr. Phil really the best place for you to go to get help? It's just like Jerry Springer, in my opinion.
Facts.
Dr. Phil is really where you thought was the best place to get help on a national stage, people aren't gonna be like, oh man, I feel sorry for this person. They're gonna be like, this person's an idiot. What are you doing? Yeah, but someone such as Bad Baby, you had to check out the meme. You had to be like, oh, what's all the hype about? Why is everybody saying on Facebook? How about that? oh, oh, let's have our cheap laughs at this little girl. And you know how quick time is now? She's she's a legal adult now. She has an OnlyFans. And it all started because people made a bratty 13-year-old to become famous.
Exactly.
This is what I have to say about like when people like I made a TikTok account. It's for ironic purposes. I'm trying to get a following while trying to bash TikTok content. I'm trying to be ironic in that way. But like when I make a post about that girl Bella Porch, I don't have like genuine dislike for her. This is what I have to say. Don't hate the player, hate the game.
Exactly. And that's how they do it. They know how to work the game.
So don't be mad at whoever, Addison Rae, or whoever other famous TikTokers are there. You're you're part of the reason why they're famous. Because Donald Trump proved to you 5 years ago any attention is good attention.
Fact.
So what's the thing you wanna talk about? Something you're thinking about?
Oh, I couldn't think of so many things. I was just like, DMX's new album is supposed to come out in uh in like 12 days. So I'm like people love to do a lot of posthumous albums. Like, I
Yeah,
wonder who gets that money.
that's a real good question, and people have criticized posthumous albums because a lot of times, not every time, but it seems it's a very like exploiting the artist death.
Yeah. And what's funny is that he had the album done completed before he died.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if there was some like collaborations that like DMX fans would see and be like, he would not be working with this guy if he was alive.
Yeah, they said that he did an album with he did an album with what's
I
who
heard
did
he
it?
I heard there
He
was
did,
a song with Pop Smoke, I think.
yeah, he did a song with Pop Smoke before Pop Smoke passed away.
That would be that would be interesting if there was a camera there. That would be an interesting video to see them in the studio recording that song.
Yeah, I would love to see that. I wonder if they're gonna do a like a tour with his hologram.
Yeah, they did what I think is completely plausible because they did one. It was shortly after Pop Smoke died. Then they had like a hologram for him, and I think it was in a European country. And then of course you have the most famous one with like Tupac when it was 2012 Coachella.
True.
Yeah, that would have been something if you were at that concert when when that Tupac hologram was going on.
I wish I could. It's funny, like how they got his voice to say, "Yeah, Coachella."
Yeah, when yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm like 99% sure he never performed at Coachella when he was alive.
Yeah, that's true. But that's pretty much all I had to say about that stuff.
Yeah, so I'm before we I want to talk about sports a little bit. But before we do that, is there any other artists that you want to artists alive right now that you want to just give a spotlight to, just give your props to?
Oh yeah, a few actually. Nelly, um, Dr. Dre, Ice Cube, 50 Cent, The Game, Lil Wayne, Drake, uh, Soulja Boy.
You're
Even
joking,
but he
right? You're joking about the Soldier Boy part, right?
kind of, but like I gotta give him props because he was a genius marketing. He got himself to be known on a national platform.
Man, you already know how I feel about Soldier Boy's music, but I will admit the marketing, him being one of the first artists to get famous on the internet, I will say that I will give him credit for that. Just nothing musically.
Yeah, true. And then who else did I want to say? Uh, there's a lot that actually. And Will Smith, I want to say.
I feel there might be someone thinking like him, Will Smith, bro. But yeah, go ahead with that.
And Run DMC.
Yeah, that's a real good one because I feel it's not like how Run DMC did it back in the day, but I do feel there is some like rapping rock that gets meshed together. It's not like the rock how Run DMC did, like they did with Aerosmith and Walk This Way and their other songs as well. But guys such as Juice World, for example, like he he was obviously influenced by other genres such as like emo rock.
For real. Because they did the stuff with Aerosmith.
Yeah, and then yeah, Run DMC. I don't think a song like Jay Z 99 Problems would be a thing if Run DMC didn't do it.
Oh yeah, Nas and Jay Z too. I gotta give them that props too.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm still vibing with that DJ Khaled stuff. Oh, Nicki Minaj, Cardi B, Queen Latifah, MC Light,
I feel
Roxanne Rockman.
I feel people because you know how it is with people on the internet. It's herd mentality with that stuff.
Yeah.
Because people be like, "Oh, what man? You say Cardi B? What? You said that song Big Paper is actually good? What's wrong with you, man?"
Oh, and Meg Thee Stallion, I forgot too. Yeah, they would say that, but I gotta give her props. I gotta give the props to Cardi because I thought Big Paper was pretty good.
Yeah, it was for me, but it was yeah. I don't think it's even close to the worst song that's been on a DJ Khaled album in recent years.
Yeah.
Like, did you hear this song? It was a couple of years ago. You Stay. It was a weird combination. It was like um a Latin artist Jay Blavin, Meek Mill, Little Baby, and Jeremiah. And it was a good. And then there was this other song Holy Mountain. It was a mess. Like, it didn't know what it wanted to be. Did it want to be a trap song? Did it want to be a reggae song? So those songs are, I would say, for sure worse than Cardi Big Paper.
For real. I agree.
Yeah. So before we transition into sports, I'm gonna say some guys as well. Completely agree with the Drake thing. Aside from like him being the most like successful rapper when it comes to Billboard ever,
Yeah.
how many guys he has put on? Like, he had ASAP Rocky and Kendrick on him in tour before they became what they are today.
Facts.
When they were on the rise.
I forgot of Kendrick. I need to add Kendrick to mine too. J. Cole.
Yeah, and also with Drake. His song with Lil Baby, he did. That's really what helped Lil Baby get to where he's at now.
He likes putting on new talent.
Yeah, so for that, I gotta give Drake props, aside from the music, because he's put so many guys on.
Oh, I forgot Snoop Dogg too. My bad.
Yeah, like his voice is probably one of the most laid back in rap. Nah,
Facts.
yeah. So you got more, or we could go into sports a little bit.
Yeah, go into sports a little bit. I was gonna say Chris Brown, and then stuff like that, but another time. There's other times for most people.
Yeah, all right. So the NBA is getting to real the real crunch time of it. As today I'm recording this on Sunday. Hopefully I get this released not too long after we're done recording. But the last games of the regular season are going on, and our team, the Celtics, they're they're locked for the seventh seed. So right now, the Celtics are gonna be in the play-in game, and they would either be facing. It depends on who wins between the Hornets and Wizards. That's who they're gonna be facing in the play-in game. So
Yeah.
so whoever wins that, they'll be facing them. And this is how it works. Do you know how it works with the play-in game?
No.
So this is how it works. The seventh and eighth seed
Mm-hmm.
will face each other, and
Yeah.
whoever wins that game, they're locked into the playoffs. They're the seventh seed. So the team that loses, let's say the Celtics face the Hornets and they won. So the Hornets will face the team that wins the 9 and 10 game. So right now, I mean, it could change depending on if the Wizards win or not. The Wizards will be facing the Pacers for the 9th and 10th game. And if the Wizards win, they'll be facing the Hornets because they lost. And whoever wins that game, whoever win that game, between the Hornets and Wizards, that's who would be the 8th seed. So basically, the 7th and 8th seed have two chances to win one game. While the 9th and 10th seed, if they want to be in the playoffs, they have to win both games. So what are you about to say?
I said that sounds interesting.
Yeah. So do you like that implementation of that, how it is this year? And wasn't like as like how it is. It wasn't like that last year exactly, but do you like how they're doing this with the lower seeded teams?
Yeah, I do, because it gives some teams an opportunity that wouldn't have gotten to make the playoffs a second chance.
Yeah, I like it because it brings some more hype to the NBA. Creates more excitement.
Yeah, exactly. Because the team that you may have thought would have been the worst team of the seventh and eighth seed might be able to pull up an upset like an underdog and go and probably make it. It might be the team that makes it all the way to the finals and probably get the chip.
Yeah, so what would you all right. Yeah, it's kind of tricky to make predictions with this because it's still up in the air on what position certain teams are going to be at. But the Celtics are at the 7th seed, regardless if they win or not against the Knicks today. It's not going to affect that. But the big one is the Hornets and Wizards, depending on what happens with them. So, first off, I'll ask this. Who you think's gonna win that game between the Wizards and Hornets so they have the right to play the Celtics in the playing game, the first playing game?
I'm going with the Hornets because they've been playing pretty well from highlights I've watched.
Yeah, I'd probably have to say the Wizards because they've been playing real well lately, and Russell Westbrook, he's been on his triple double thing again.
Yeah.
And Russell Westbrook has got to be one of the most overhated NBA players I have seen. People are like, oh man, he's a stat pattern though. But tell me this. How can a guy that is 6'3", he's probably gonna be one of the shorter guys on the court. How are you gonna tell me that when the guy he's had several games where he's had 20 rebounds? He's doing this against guys that are taller than him, guys that are 7 feet.
Exactly. And then at one point, Michael Jordan claimed that said that he was he compared Russell Westbrook to him earlier on in his career. Russell Westbrook had his mentality.
I saw some posts. It was showing, it showed what you said. Michael Jordan said that about Westbrook. And you know who else? Kobe said that he reminded him of himself. But he still gets all of this hate.
Because when it comes, he can't get the job done.
Yeah.
I admire him. I respect him. He's one of the he's gonna be a legend of today, and of tomorrow. He's gonna go down in history. He's breaking records, but I would love to see him win a championship.
Yeah, I would too. But unfortunately, his best chance was with OKC, but they traded away Harden before he became the guy he was. So that's like one of the biggest what ifs in NBA history. What if all those guys stayed together in Oklahoma?
Exactly, and then they kind of had a chance when Westbrook. I think when Westbrook went into Houston with with him, but I guess he didn't do anything there significant.
Yeah, they were there 1 year, and the Rockets were like, man, we're not winning anything, so screw it, we're trading away everybody.
Yeah, and I heard that Westbrook asked for his release from that team, and I heard Harden did it as well.
Yeah, that's something. That the Rockets were a second round exit in the playoffs, and now they're one of the worst teams in the league this year.
Exactly.
All within a year. Okay, so back to these predictions. Since you said the Hornets are gonna win against the Wizards for the last regular season game, this would mean in Yvens' world that the Celtics are gonna be facing the Hornets for the 7th and 8th game. So Who would you pick to win that game between the Celtics and Hornets?
As much as I wanna say the Hornets, I gotta stick with my home team, the Celtics.
All right, and yeah, that's real tough because the Celtics have been so bipolar this year.
Yeah.
They'll be one game they'll come back from a 30-point deficit, and then the next day they just completely play like trash.
Mm-hmm.
Or they'll
I haven't watched much basketball games, but I plan to during the playoff season.
yeah, for the Celtics you haven't been, you really haven't been missing much really.
Yeah.
And so that would leave it for your predictions then in your world if this were to happen. So the ninth and 10th game is the Wizards and Pacers. Who you got winning that one?
I'm saying the Wizards.
Okay, and yeah. So for me, I think I'm going to say the Wizards win against the Hornets today. So the Wizards are the 8th seed in my predictions. And Celtics versus the Wizards, I'm going to say, I'm saying the Wizards. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that would leave the Hornets versus the Pacers. I'd say the Hornets, and then I'll say the Celtics get the 8th seed. That's my prediction. The Celtics will get the 8th seed and the Wizards will be the 7th seed. And so the Wizards winning in your predictions, that will leave it's the Wizards versus the Hornets for the 8th seed. Who you got winning that?
I think I'm gonna go with the young team. Even with Gordon Hayward, LaMelo Ball be hooping.
All right.
I think I don't know if he came out from injury yet or not.
Yeah, he's back.
But that's who I got.
All right, so for you, the 7th and 8th seed will be the Celtics and Hornets in the Eastern Conference. All right, so for the Western Conference, it's a lot more complicated because we still have to figure out if the Blazers or Lakers are going to be that 7th seed. And if the Warriors and Grizzlies are going to be that 8th seed for the play-in game. So, first off, I need to check who the Blazers playing. They're playing the Nuggets today. And the Lakers, LeBron's healthy. I'm pretty sure everybody's back for the Lakers. All the major guys. So the Blazers are playing the Nuggets in the last game today, and the Lakers are playing the Pelicans. So who do you got winning for the Nuggets and Blazers today?
I'm saying Blazers.
All right, so that would leave. It wouldn't really matter regardless because you said the Blazers are gonna win, and what? Just to see what your prediction would be, who you think's gonna win between the Lakers and Pelicans?
The Lakers.
All right, so that would still leave the Blazers as the 6th seed, I believe, as is the standings. As I'm looking at the standings right now, the Lakers and Blazers are the same record, 41 and 30, and the Blazers are at 6. So the Blazers would be the 6th seed, I'm pretty sure, leaving the Lakers to be in the play-in game. So the Warriors and Grizzlies are playing the last game against each other, and that determines who will be the 8th seed for the play-in game. Who you got between the Warriors and Grizzlies?
Warriors and Grizzlies. I'm saying Warriors, even though I heard they have been plagued by injury.
Yeah. All right, so my predictions for that will be... So, yeah, I'll say the Lakers will win, but I don't know if the... You know what? I'm going to say... Yeah, I'm going to say that the... Because the Nuggets still have something to play for. Since if they lose and the Clippers win today, they will be the 4th seed. So, they have a... chance to clinch the third seed by winning. So they have something to play for. I'm going to say the Nuggets win the third, or not the third seed. They win against the Blazers, leaving the Blazers to be the seventh seed for my prediction. The Lakers to move up to six to avoid the playing game, since I think the Lakers are going to beat the Pelicans. And for the Warriors and Grizzlies, I will say that I'll agree with you on the Warriors winning that game because Steph has just been playing crazy this year. All right, so for you then, this leaves it to be the Lakers and Warriors as the seventh and eighth game for the play-in. So who you think's would be winning that?
Man, as much as I want to say the LA Lakers champions would win again, so they could try to go for a second title, I'm gonna say Warriors.
All right, and so the eighth or not eighth, 10th and ninth seed, that is gonna be against the Grizzlies and Spurs. Who you got winning that one?
I'm gonna go with the Grizzlies. I don't really know who's on the team.
Yeah, okay, so that's gonna leave it between for the this game's for the eighth seed now. The Lakers and Grizzlies. Who you got for that?
Lakers, hands down.
All right, so this is how it is for Yvens then. The seventh seed are going to be the Warriors and the Lakers will be the eighth seed. And for me, I got between the Blazers and Warriors, I got the Blazers winning that game. And then for the 10th and 9th and 10th game, Grizzlies against the Spurs, I'll say the Grizzlies. And then Warriors against the Grizzlies. That's a real tough one. I could see it going either way, but I think the Warriors will edge it out. I think if that's indeed what happens and my prediction is right, I think it's gonna be a real close game between the Warriors and Grizzlies. I think tonight's gonna be a really competitive game because they're fighting for either to have the chance to win one game out of two or having to win two games. So I think both of those games, if indeed they face each other two times within this week with the Warriors and Grizzlies, I think both of them will be really good games. So that's how it is for me. The Blazers as the seventh seed and the Warriors as the eighth seed. And now, since we got our things figured out with that, who you think's coming in the Eastern and Western Conference Finals?
Okay, so I think Charlotte. No. Wait.
I'm about to say, you think Charlotte's gonna make a Cinderella run?
They could, but I don't think they'll make it this year. They'll make it next year, possibly. Um, I can't even say the Celtics. I think it might be Brooklyn.
So who you think Brooklyn will be facing in the Eastern Conference Finals?
I think they probably go up against the Celtics. I want to say.
Okay, I don't think that's a very long shot, but I think Celtics fans, any Celtics fans that are watching that, hope that happens. It's a very long shot, but yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen for that. So that's who you got for the Eastern Conference. What you got for the Western Conference Finals?
I'd say it's gonna go. It's probably gonna be Lakers and Portland.
Okay, Lakers and Portland.
Yeah, because Damian Lillard has been doing this thing since last year. They were very close last year.
All right, yeah, this is gonna be way Yeah, my prediction is going to be way different than yours with that. All right, but before I get into mine, who you think is going to be winning those two conference finals in the Eastern Conference and Western Conference?
As much as I want to say Portland, I think the Lakers might go and win the Western Conference. And as much as I want to say Boston, I think Brooklyn Nets are gonna win the finals.
All right, so you got Kyrie and LeBron in the finals. That'd be a real good show.
Yeah, it would be.
So this is what I got for my conference finals. I think the Eastern Conference is way more easier to determine. But I would say, yeah, I don't think the Bucks. They've been real good for several years, but it just seems they don't ever have that final push to get them to the finals. So I'm gonna say the Nets in the Eastern Conference Finals, and I would say you could say I wouldn't be surprised if Miami did it again because they did last year, but I don't think they're gonna do it again because I think the Eastern Conference there's some tougher teams with the Sixers and Nets and all that. So I'm gonna say the Nets and Sixers for the Eastern Conference.
Ooh, that sounds good.
And then for the Western Conference, I will say that's crazy because the Lakers are a lower seeded team though, but I'm gonna assuming everybody stays healthy in the Lakers, I'm gonna say because I'm looking at the teams like the Jazz, the Suns. They're the top two teams in the conference right now, record wise. So I would.
Not to cut you off, they said Chris Paul has brought that Suns team back.
Yeah, exactly. So I would say I'm gonna say the Lakers and trying to figure out how that would work with the way the seeds are and teams who would face each other. All right, so I think the Lakers and hmm, the Lakers and maybe the Clippers or
Possibly.
yeah, possibly the Lakers and Clippers in the Western Conference Finals. Or wait a minute, would that work out? Actually, I need to I need to look at the brackets and how because if you're a first and eighth seed or whatever, then you face the team that wins the fourth and fifth seed. For example, then you would face that team that wins that series if you win and you're in the first and eighth seed, you win that series. So let me double check how that would work out exactly because it might be inaccurate what I'm saying
Yeah.
if I say the Lakers and Clippers in the conference finals when it's actually the second round or whatever. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Jazz or Suns get into it as well for the Western Conference Finals. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now, seeing how exactly it would be. So yeah, if the Lakers they would be the sixth and third seed. They'd face off against the yeah. So yeah, that would work actually. So yeah, I got the Lakers and Clippers in the conference finals
Yeah.
because I don't know the Suns. I wouldn't be surprised if they make it, but the Clippers got Kawhi Leonard who's won 2 rings and has that playoff experience. And assuming Paul George doesn't completely just collapse like he did in the last playoffs,
Mhm.
I think, yeah, it'll be the Lakers and Clippers. So that's who I got for the Western Conference Finals. So I'll say the Lakers win that out, and then between the Sixers and Nets, I'll say the Nets. So I'll agree with you and say the Lakers and Nets are facing off in the finals. Who's winning it though? I'm not sure. I'm gonna say the Lakers in 7.
I say I may be wrong, but I want to say Nets in 6.
I agree.
Yeah, and you know how bad it is, Evans, with the Celtics have been playing this year?
Yeah.
I'm gonna sue this right now. I did it for a video that I did record with my dad, but that's the thing. That's the thing with videos. A lot it's just that way a lot of times when creating stuff like music. There's a lot of stuff you record that might not see the light of day. So I said this on the video I was recording talking about the Celtics, so I'm gonna say it now. Kyrie Irving. You know, this is gonna be crazy you hear me say this, but Kyrie Irving, I'm not saying that you were completely faultless in what happened with the 2019 Celtics and how they collapsed. But I apologize for being too hard on you. Yeah, I know you're getting a laugh out of this because you're probably thinking, man, Dylan was probably too hard, has probably been too hard on him during the years.
Yeah. Especially with the diss tracks.
Yeah, exactly. It's not to the point where I'm gonna say I'm just gonna delete the diss track. It's not to that point where I'm apologizing. It's to the point where I'll admit that some of the things I said about Kyrie are wrong. That's how bad it is with the Celtics.
Yeah, I think that it wasn't a good fit for him.
Yeah, and it doesn't help when you got Brad Stevens. This is the problem with them. He can't coach a star team. It's easier to coach guys that have nothing really to lose or guys that aren't like these multimillionaires like in the NBA.
Yeah. Look at Doc Rivers. Doc Rivers led the Celtics to a championship at one point.
Yeah, and he had Rondo there, and there's been reports throughout the years about how he was a head case, but he still made it work.
True.
He didn't he didn't let the whatever issues like Rondo and Ray Allen may have had with each other, for example. He didn't let that negatively affect the team and how they played.
Yeah. Ooh, shot.
Yeah, so what? Because my dad, yeah, because you heard him interject saying, "I agree."
Yeah.
My dad was out somewhere where I was doing the predictions for the most part with you right now. And this is something that I don't even know if, well, then again, it's Celtics fans we're talking about. They'll believe their team will get through because it's Boston. But explain why you think the Celtics, even with the way they've been playing this year, why you think they'll be in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Was they hungry? They want it. They wanted that.
All
I
right,
think they wants it.
I think they're gonna, if they make it out of the playing games,
Yeah.
I think they're getting slaughtered.
I think they might get stuck maybe second round.
No, I don't think that's happening at all. Especially if here here's a crazy possibility. It has real potential to happen. If the Celtics win the 7th and 8th game, they're probably gonna face the Nets.
Yeah.
Kyrie Irving against the Celtics. You know Kyrie's gonna be out for the kill on those guys.
Exactly.
He's gonna be trying to cross up Jason Tatum up. Maybe even I would be laughing if he did this. He tried to cross up Brad Stevens. I'd be like, yeah, Kyrie. I'm not a fan of the Nets, but yeah, Kyrie. So if the Nets and Celtics face, don't be surprised if it's just a clean sweep, because Kyrie is gonna go off on them. I think.
Yeah.
And I kind of hope it does happen with Kyrie and the Celtics, because that'd be some good TV. You would have some real juicy storylines with that.
It would be. I have to agree.
I got a quick question. Who's going to guard Kyrie? Who's going to guard Kevin Durant? And to top it off, who's going to guard Harden? I don't see any way they can. I'll say 4-1. Yeah.
I think we're probably gonna have to double team those guys, but they're gonna leave a man open.
That's true. I keep telling Dylan I can drill threes if I'm wide open. If I practice for a while.
Yeah, not NBA threes.
I think that's a good question, because I really honestly think the double team, like if they double team, they gotta really be on Durant, they gotta really be on Kyrie, and they cannot leave Harden open.
Oh yeah. It's gonna be a disaster this series if they face the Nets. That is absolute worst case scenario.
That's facts.
Yeah, because Jaylen Brown's out for the season, leaving really the only star, their only real star, Jason Tatum. Because Kemba Walker, he's just, man, he's not close to the player that Kyrie was. And Kemba Walker is so inconsistent.
But when he was on Charlotte, he was doing so good. Like he turned the Charlotte team around and made them playoff contenders, and then Jordan got rid of them.
Well, the thing is with that, there will always be like a team that flirted with the playoffs. They might get in there a year or two, but then they get eliminated in the first round. And the thing with Kemba Walker is, he was on a team where he was the best player, no doubt.
Right.
And now he's possibly the third best player when you got, well, Jaylen Brown's out now, but when they were healthy, you had Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. Those guys are going to dominate the ball a lot with those guys alone.
Yeah.
So Kemba, to me, he's not really a guy that can be productive when there's other stars around him. That's the difference between a guy like Kemba and someone like Kyrie and someone like LeBron. Like, even if there's other guys, star players that need the ball as well, like, it doesn't seem like LeBron's impact is lessened because of it. Or Kemba, or not. why am I mixing them up now? But not like Kyrie's impact is not, there's not as much of an impact with Kyrie because he has the two other guys in Harden and Durant.
I agree with that.
So, is there any last things you want to say about for the NBA and predictions and all that?
Nah, not this hour.
All right, so I think we're gonna be wrapping it up for this edition of the whatever podcast. So, is there any plugs you want to make? Any last words you want to say before we end this?
Oh yeah, check out my website, evansadarylus.com. YVENSADARILUS.com.
All right, and if you want a urban twist on poetry, buy that book of his,
Yep.
Encased.
On Amazon.com.
All right, so on the count of three, we'll say whatever together. All right, 1, 2, 3, whatever.